she was so vivacious. Clara Bow was so filled with excitement and fun and romance and sex. And she wanted to prove to the world that she was this, and she just gave of herself.
Louise Brooks, a contemporary of Clara Bow, worked for the same studio and experienced similar star treatment.
I thought she was the most marvelous star of the 20s because she was the 20s, really. Garbo came from Europe, and Swanson was already very sophisticated at dressy, and Cecil B. DeMille, but Clara was, as she called herself, the real jazz baby. She got her job in Hollywood, not, she said very carefully, through a beauty contest. She never thought she was beautiful. It was a personality contest that she won.
Clara Bow belonged to the first generation to be raised on the movies. A great ambition began to unfold in me, she said. It was ridiculous, but I knew I wanted to be a motion picture actress. She won the personality contest despite the photograph she submitted. They made another one. She said she was 16. She was actually 14.
Adela Rogers St. John did a wonderful series at that time in photoplay and told about how she grew up, her father, in Brooklyn, on the streets.
Clara's family was extremely poor. Her mother had bouts of mental illness and on one occasion tried to kill her. Regarded as the worst-looking kid on the street, Clara was a tomboy, accepted by the local gangs. I could lick any boy my size, she said, and proved it in her first role. In the film, Clara played a stowaway. It was the last time anyone would mistake her for a boy. Said Variety, Clara Bow lingers in the eye long after the picture has gone. B.P. Schulberg, an independent producer, put her under contract at $50 a week and exploited her in film after film. They were cheaply made, and sometimes Clara made 3 at once. But they gave her the experience she could never have acquired elsewhere. In 1924, together with 12 other girls, she was voted a Wampus Baby Star by motion picture advertisers. An almost unrecognizable Clara is the girl on the left. When she made The Plastic Age with Donald Keith, Schulberg promoted her as the hottest jazz baby in films. She was 18. She'd already made 23 films. Clara went with B.P. Schulberg to Paramount Pictures, where she was given a supporting role.
She was absolutely a sensation in the United States in Dancing Mothers. And she was so, she just swept the country. I know I saw her and I thought she was, wonderful. Everybody did. She became absolutely a star overnight with nobody's help.
She got help of a sort from Eleanor Glynn, who announced that Clara had a quality known as it. Schulberg immediately cast her in a film written by Madame Glynn, who who gave it her seal of approval with a personal appearance.
There was a tremendous discussion about exactly what was it. And somebody said, it is sex appeal. And Madame Glynn said, well, it's partly sex, and it's partly this, it's partly that, it's partly something else. Anyway, she declared that the it girl was Clara Bow. Clara Bow was the personification of it.
Clarence Badger was the director of It, and he was the first to pay tribute to Clara's quality as a screen performer. She would melt into the character she was portraying so cleverly, he said, just as though it was the story of her own life. The camera seemed to cause her and her ideas to blossom.
He said that she was absolutely marvelous. You set up, you told her what the scene was, and you just let her go. He said, for instance, where she has the little toy dog. Well, he didn't tell her. Remember, she looks at the dog, and she turns around, lifts up its tail, and looks at its behind. That was her idea. Everything she did was completely original, and he said, when you start to direct her, you get mad, because she's doing all these things, and then you run them, and they're wonderful. Another thing she did in that picture was the scene where she goes in to interview him. Remember, she walks across and slides right straight across the desk? All those things were hers, you see. That was what made her so marvelous.
Clara Bow came from the same background as most of her fans, and they could easily identify with her and the way she behaved.
Clara Bow invited us all to dinner. And that was the first time that any of us had ever been out to dinner in a group. And Clara, who didn't know which fork was up, had this charming dinner. And when I could remember, I could see it, we pushed the plates back in the middle of the table and left them there. While the dessert came on, never occurred to us to tell somebody to take it back in the kitchen.
Eddie Sutherland my husband gave absolutely the best parties in Hollywood. So I asked him one day to invite Clara Bow, and he said, oh, heavens, no, we can't have her. We don't know what she do. She's from Brooklyn. Everyone on the lot at Paramount said, of course, she's the greatest actress, but she wasn't acceptable, and she knew that.
In MANTRAP, Clara played a city girl who impulsively marries a Canadian trapper, Ernest Torrance. A visitor from the city, Percy Marmont, unsettles the marriage.
There was something sort of a little bit of the primitive about her, which I think was what everybody liked about her. She was uninhibited. She was not constricted in any way like some of the others were.